This is the quail, and these are quail eggs, and you're getting f***ed. I never cared about money until I lost all my money closing my restaurant. So let's talk about it. Eggs and economics. All right, how you doing? So today we're gonna talk about fried eggs and hard money. I like this series. So, first, I think people get really confused and it gets complicated of what's the difference between money and currency. And the biggest thing is that money is a store of value. And what we have right now, what we use, the US dollar, is a currency. It's not a money because it doesn't store value. Like in the previous video where we talked about inflation, if you had $100 let's say not a couple years ago, 30 years ago, that $100 now, even though it still has the same number on it, is worth a lot less than it used to be. You always hear about your parents talking about a hamburger costing 30 cents or whatever. It's because the dollar does not store value. It loses value over time because they keep adding inflation by increasing the supply. So when we talk about money or currency, currency is all the government money. All the paper money is the government money, government fiat, government currency. Money, real money, is gold, silver, and Bitcoin. That's it. I don't think there's anything else. So it's either the metals or Bitcoin. That's money. Anytime you're doing egg cookery, you really only have two variables to consider, and that's just the heat and the amount of medium that you're cooking in. So that medium would either be water for a poached egg or hard-boiled egg, or fat for a fried egg or sunny side, or what's the other one, basted, or that's it. So again, there is no wrong way to cook an egg and no right way to cook an egg. There's just a preference and different methods that give you different textures. So it's just really what you're looking for. When I hear a fried egg, I think of more something what I consider an Asian style, which would be high heat, high fat, and crispy, brown edges, kind of got a chew to it. Or when I hear if someone's calling for like a over easy or over medium, then I'm thinking more of a Western style egg, which is less heat, less fat, and not so brown or crispy, that sort of rubbery texture, but I mean that in a good way. So let's start. So I'm gonna do an Asian style fried egg first. So to me, that means good high heat. That means a good amount of fat. This is a new cast iron pan, so we'll see if it sticks or not. Hopefully it won't. So I can always use my hand to feel the heat on it. I can look at how the oil moves on the pan. If it's moving really quick like water, I know it's super hot, so I'm getting close there. And when I want to do an Asian style egg, an Asian fried egg, I want a lot of fat. And when that egg hits the pan, I want it to sizzle and I want to see bubbles because I want to get color on that egg. So again, with these little quail eggs that I got here, they're a little, you can, but they're hard to crack like a typical chicken egg, so I always just use like a little knife, preferably something with a serrated edge. So once I think this pan is hot enough, which it is, the oil's moving around, I'll get my egg in there. And I can just pop the top like that and just dump it. So you can see the bubbles that are forming right away. I want to see that. Doesn't quite have to be this hot, but it can be. That's fine too. You see that color? I want to see that. And then depending on just how you like your yolk, you just touch it. If you like a soft yolk, when it's soft, pull it off. If you want it hard, cook it until it's firm. Touch it. Don't be afraid to feel it. It's the only way you're really going to know about the actual texture of the yolk inside. Up a little pepper. A little salt. That's good to go. So for me, when I'm doing what I would think an Asian style fried egg is, I want it to have that texture. I want it to have that brown, crispy, sort of rubbery eggs, because if it's inside of a stir-fry noodle and you're tossing it with chopsticks, you want something that has a little more texture, something that's going to be stronger. It's not going to just break up into all kinds of little pieces that will hold its shape as it gets moved through the noodles and as you're pulling it apart or pulling it through the rice. You know, in a French kitchen, if I cooked an egg like this, they would freak out, but in an Asian kitchen, this is how it would be. So, I mean, it's good. So we'll let this pan cool down a little bit for when we do the a Western style or a European style or like a dino style. So it's all the same thing. I'll take some of the fat out of here, let the pan cool down. So when we think about currency, we should always think that it's controlled by government. A fiat currency means that it has value because the government says it has value. A money is not controlled by government because the government can't just make it. The government can't just make up gold, and they can't just make up silver or make up Bitcoin. You have to work to get it. That requires individual labor to get more of it. And there's a limited amount of it. It's rare. Where government money is just monopoly money. You want more, you just type on the computer, give me more money, and they can just make it up. So it's all fake. So you never want to be saving government money because they're killing it in front of you. If you are saving government money, you are losing, and you're not being smart. You should change all of your government money into gold, silver, or Bitcoin so you don't get screwed. When you hold real money, it just gives you freedom because no one can destroy it. No one can, I mean, you can get robbed, but they can't just kill the value. It's not like they're just, like inflation where they destroy the dollar. It's not like people are coming to your house and just cutting little pieces of your gold off or taking some of your Bitcoin away. So holding your money makes you a free individual. And when we think about gold and silver, the advantages to gold and silver are they are physical. You can hold them. That is a strong advantage. The disadvantage to gold and silver is they are physical. You have to hold them. You know, that is good and bad. And the advantage to Bitcoin is it is digital. That's a good thing. The disadvantage to Bitcoin is it is digital. So both forms of money, the physical and the digital money that we now have their advantages and their disadvantages. So I think it's probably wise to hold both or all three. You know, some of the physical stuff, some of the digital stuff, so you are diversified in that way. All right, so let's do like a Western egg. This is still pretty darn hot. I can see how the oil, once the oil hits the pan, just the way it's moving, I know the pan's still pretty hot. The heat is off, but I should be able to drop the egg right now and be okay. It's not super hot, but it's still hot. Once again, I use my little knife. So you see how I didn't get the same sizzle, that same immediate bubbling up. There is some bubbling, but it's not forming on the white like it did with the previous egg. So I'm going to give this a little heat now. Now, about medium heat instead of that ripping high. I can see some bubbles. It's a little hot for me. And with this, I'm basically going to just flip it once I think I can do it without it falling apart, which is right now. Oops. So as you can see with this style, I'm getting like no color on the egg. It's a little bit's okay, but we don't want to see much. And the same thing, I'm just going to feel it until I get the yolk texture the way I like it. If it feels like the yolk is runny, then just do it longer if you want it harder. If you want it over hard, leave it there for a while. If you want it over easy, flip it and then take it off. You know, it's not that hard. You just touch it, pay attention, and you're good. So that's cool for me. That's about over medium. A little less than that, but that's cool. Same thing, a little salt. No color on here. This is going to have a much more delicate texture. If I put this on top of an instant stir-fried noodle, it would just break apart and fall apart, and it would still get that egg flavor, and that would be good, but you wouldn't get that same texture that I would be looking for personally with that sort of dish. But if I'm eating, you know, just eggs and bacon for breakfast, I kind of want this instead. You know, I want to have that crispy bacon with this softer egg and put it on my toast, and I get my crunch from there. Either way is good. Every way is good. There's no wrong way to do it, just different techniques. And if you are unhappy with what the government is doing right now, if you think Trump is Hitler and he's the worst person ever, if you think the socialists and the communists are coming to take over, the best possible protest that you could ever do is just to turn your government money into real money, gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Whatever your political spectrum, right, left, no spectrum whatsoever, the best protest possible, the most peaceful protest possible, is to change your government money into real money. When you hold your savings in government money, you give the government power. You make them more powerful. When you take your savings or your investments out of the government money, they lose power. They lose. And I'll tell you what, the government sucks. They're not doing a good job. So every side, all of it, none of it's good. Ask me questions. I look forward to hearing them. Have a great day.